Good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon. How you all doing? Today we're going to have our live. We're going to discuss what's happening in immigration. I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. So welcome. My name is Alena Shautsova. I'm a New York immigration lawyer. Been practicing immigration law for almost 16 years at this point. And today is the opportunity, just like every Tuesday and sometimes Friday, to ask your questions for free. Like to drop a line, let me know what is it that you would like to know about. Don't be shy. Let me know where you're watching from and prepare your questions so that I will be able to help you out and I will be able to answer or give you at least a hint in what direction you should be going in pursuing your immigration dream in the United States. So tell me where you're watching from. Do not forget to like and share the stream. Thank you very much for your hearts. Thank you very much for your stars. I do appreciate your love. It gives me encouragement to have these shows, to make sure that you guys get your answers for free. And let's start. Well, in announcement for this particular live, I wanted to discuss with you an interesting topic, something that is too probably large to fit into one of these streams, but something that nevertheless almost all my followers are always asking me about. It's how to get status in the United States. And the topic is vast. It's not only for those who are out of the United States, outside of the United States, overseas, but for those who are in the United States, however you guys came here, and you're searching for answers as to how you can improve your immigration status. So here I'm just going to start the discussion. And on Friday, hopefully, we're going to meet again, and I will be able to again start the discussion because, as I said, that the topic is very large, but at least it's going to give you some idea as to what maybe you can do in your situation if you hear something that is relevant for you. And you can also replay this show on YouTube and Facebook. It will be available. It's not available in replays on TikTok, but TikTok guys, you always can join my YouTube and Facebook as well, and you will be able to replay it and find your answers. So first of all, usually to get some status in the United States, you need to come to the United States, right? On a visa, parole, or sometimes people enter even without status. I'm not without inspection or parole. I'm not encouraging anybody to do so, but here, just like United States immigration law is allowing, I will tell you what options may be available for those of you guys who enter the United States without inspection completely. So, of course, if you come on a visa, typically you would like to maintain that lawful non-immigrant status if it's a non-immigrant visa. If it's an immigrant visa, you don't need me. If it's an immigrant visa, it means that you are going to receive your green card after your admission to the United States in the immigrant status, and you don't need my help here. But if it's a non-immigrant visa, typically B1, B2, visitor's visa, F1 visa, J1 visa, H1B, which is actually dual intent visa. After a while, a lot of immigrants, a lot of people, well, let's call them non-citizens, will be seeking for options as to how to stay in the United States. And the key here is that, remember, that you always would like to maintain your lawful non-immigrant status for as long as possible. This is extremely, extremely important, okay? To maintain lawful non-immigrant status as long as possible, either file for an extension or to file for a change of status if you have to, and you have good grounds for that. But typically, this is what you want to do. Of course, there are visas that even if you enter on those visas, and you entered lawfully, you will not be able to do anything with them or after them unless they serve the purpose that you got them for. For example, I'm talking about, first of all, non-visa option, entry without a visa, visa waiver. If you entered the United States on a visa waiver, your options as to how to stay in the United States afterwards extremely limited. Visa waiver has a waiver in its name. It is so because you're waiving your rights to a trial in case if immigration is going to catch you here and you are subject to deportation. So there is a waiver of the requirement to obtain the visa, but there is a waiver also of your rights. You're waiving those rights. So visa waiver can be changed only currently to adjustment of status based on a petition by a certain relative if you're going to qualify as an immediate relative. Let's say you're from one of the European countries, you came to the United States, you overstayed, now you're marrying a US citizen. You are an immediate relative of a US citizen. Guess what? You will be able to fix your status. You will not be able to get investment option visa, employment visa. You will not be able to change the visa waiver to student status, excuse me, but you will be able to successfully, as long as everything else aligns, to file for adjustment of status based on marriage to a US citizen. But what if you entered the United States in C1D status? Or many of you did, and many of you did not go back. Many of you did, and many of you did not go to that ship that sponsored you. C1D status. Unfortunately, if you entered in that status, your options are going to be even more limited than for guys who entered in visa waiver. You are not eligible to adjust status if you entered in C1D. You only can hope for asylum, U visa, T visa with waivers. And if you are married to a US citizen after you received C1D and you entered in the C1D, you should look into I-601A waiver. K1, right? Fiancé visa. Why it's a mean one? Because after that visa, you're also prohibited from adjusting your status on any other petition apart from the petition by your US citizen fiancé. It's a tough visa, I'm going to tell you that. For a while, USCIS wouldn't even allow VAWA adjustment when you were abused by that person who invited you. And it was tough, but finally they figure out that that should be allowed, but that's the only way out. If your fiancé is abusive, but you also have to marry them. So for that particular scenario to work, not only you have to be a fiancé in a K1 visa here, you also have to be married to your abuser at least for some time, and you also have to prove that the marriage was real. I'm going to tell you, maybe some of you are watching this 90-day fiancé series. You see that you have 90 days after you arrive to the United States from a foreign country to marry somebody and file your further paperwork. So typically, it will be extremely difficult to prove you had a real marriage with a person if it's a short-lived relationship. And it's just for that reason, usually people who are trying to do something with this K1 will not succeed. But again, if they qualify for U visa, T visa, those are humanitarian visas, asylum, they may have a shot at staying in the United States legally. But typically, it's one of those visas that it's better not to get it at all. I'm going to tell you, if you have a choice between K1 and C1D, always, K1 and the conditional resident visa, always choose conditional resident visa. All right, so now you're in the United States. You're not in the C1D status, not in visa waiver. You're just a regular person in the tourist status. What are your options? All right, again, I'm going to tell you, options will be limited. Why? It's just the way United States laws are working. Typically, a person in B1, B2 status first is going to hop to an F1 visa, which is very flexible, and it's relatively easy to receive that status. B1, B2 visitor also can look into E2, non-immigrant investor status, if he or she is from the country which allows for that visa, with which there is a treaty with the United States allowing that investor's option. Not every country is going to qualify, all right? Not every country. But what if you have two passports? One is from the country that qualifies, and one is from the countries that doesn't. Well, as long as you use the passport that qualifies to enter the United States, you will be able to use this E2 non-immigrant investment option. And I have a blog on my website that gives you a little bit more details as to what it is, what the qualifications for that visa are, that status, and so on and so forth. What if you were paroled? You didn't come on a visa, you were paroled into the United States. Currently, we have a lot of people who were paroled on U4U program, paroled on humanitarian grounds. If you're from Afghanistan, Venezuela, Cuba, what would be your options? Well, one obvious option is, again, marriage to a U.S. citizen, or if you are sponsored by your U.S. citizen parent, usually, and you are under 21, or by U.S. citizen child, and you are the parent of a U.S. citizen. That's clear. The question is less clear as to what's going to happen if, let's say, you win a DV lottery in the United States, or you somehow qualify for one of the employment opportunities, EB1, EB2 national interest waiver, EB2 perm, EB3. I personally have never had a case like this, so the law is kind of twisted. I've heard that some attorneys stated that they were able to successfully adjust people from parole to a green card based on employment. But then, unless I do it myself, I cannot tell you for sure that it's going to work. If you are the lucky one who would like to try, let's try it. I do charge for my time, though. So that's something that you need to know. But again, some people say that it's working for them. But usually parole is good enough just to satisfy the first requirement for adjustment of status towards the green card, is that you were lawfully inspected, not really inspected, lawfully paroled, which is very important. And again, if you marry a U.S. citizen, here we go, you will be able to get that green card if everything else is in check. But what to do if you entered without inspection? Do you have any options? I get so much hate online, guys, for what I'm going to share with you now, because there is a group of people, a lot of people in the United States, that they believe that it's immigration law's fault, that our immigration system is not working. I'm going to tell you, if it was my fault, I would have fixed it if I had the power in one day. But it's not really my fault. It's something connected to politics, in between the politics, hard and horrible conditions in other countries, and people just fleeing, trying to save themselves, their children, and the fact that the United States immigration laws need to be reformed. Okay, so that's the combination of the factors. But what I'm about to share is completely legal. For those of you who believe that I encourage something that is not legal, it's completely legal. So if you entered without inspection or crossed into the United States, you still have options of becoming legal in the United States. The first one, obvious one, would be asylum. All right, if you file for asylum, you qualify for it, here we go. Second one, cancellation of removal. Cancellation of removal is for those who stayed in the United States for 10 years, regardless of how they entered, even if they entered without inspection. Now, they're a person of good moral character, they have a qualifying relative, and they can prove that that qualifying relative is going to suffer extreme hardship in case of their removal. But the whole procedure has to be addressed before immigration judge, and guess what? Well, there is a chance you can be removed. But that's another option. Option number 3, U visa, T visa. U visa for victims of crime, T visa for victims of human trafficking. Also, for those types of visas, doesn't matter how you enter the United States. Fourth option, VAWA, Violence Against Women Act. If you qualify for VAWA petition, it doesn't matter how you entered legally or not. And in certain situations, for VAWA beneficiaries, even there is a waiver for a permanent bar, believe it or not. And if you are interested in immigration, you probably have heard what permanent bar is. It's a horrible bar that can be imposed in certain cases, and you cannot do anything about it until you serve 10 years out of the United States. So asylum, cancellation of removal, U visa, T visa, VAWA. What else? SIJ, special immigrant juvenile status. for children under 21 in the United States. What else? Some people will say parole in place. Okay, we're going to say that too. Parole in place is for those who are members of the military personnel, family members of the military may be paroled in the United States, all right? May be paroled in the United States, and this way they become legal, okay? So parole in the United States, parole in place, that's possible. These are typical solutions. There is one more, 7, 245I exception. Not for everyone, but for some people who entered without inspection, and they stayed in the United States in December of 2000. Somebody tried to sponsor them prior to April 30th, 2001. Those guys still can benefit from this 245I exception to adjustment of status rules. There are other, believe it or not, very narrow situations, but they're so old that almost nobody who I meet anymore qualifies for them, all right? But the point is this: sometimes you do not know that you can qualify for a visa. I meet people every day who did not know they could file for a U visa. People who do not know they could qualify for a T visa. So for that reason, you would want to consult with an immigration lawyer and find out if in your particular circumstances, depending on when you arrived, how you arrived, who brought you here, what happened to you, who you worked for, what happened with that employment, have you ever tried filing for anything, have you ever become a victim of a crime in the United States, married unsuccessfully, were a victim of domestic violence. All this has to be vetted for qualified, experienced immigration attorney to see if they can help you out, if there is something that you can qualify for. Okay, so this is just the beginning of our discussion. Again, there are so many interesting points around all this information. I will not be able to cover it all today, and today I'm going to be now answering your guys' questions. So let's start. I'm going to start with TikTok. Let's see, guys. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for your hearts. Please send more hearts, share this stream so more people will be able to watch us. Hi, Caesar. Hi, Divina. Hi, Priscilla. Hi, Legend. Hi, Natalie. All right. Some comments are blocked. I hope you're not sending anything, anything sexual there. All right. Hi, Armando. 2004, detained by Border Patrol. What is the question, Armando? Please rephrase your question so perhaps I'll be able to answer it. Hi, born and raised Patel. Can I travel domestic with my passport if I'm immigrant in this country? Great question. Many of you would like to go, let's say, to Florida, or California, or Hawaii, and you do not have status, right? Most likely, because if you have status, you probably don't need to worry about that. You don't have status, but you would like to take that plane. The rules, current rules, allow you to present any identification that is acceptable by the airlines, regardless of your immigration status. However, in the airports, you may encounter CBP people. Do you know who those people are? Right, those are immigration patrol people. In a highly unlikely scenario, if that CBP person is for some reason interested in you and they encounter you, you do not have legal status, they have a right to place you in detention and in removal proceedings. Highly unlikely, okay, but possible. But generally speaking, currently, until Real ID goes into effect, you do not have to present any particular document proving your any particular status, legal status in the United States. So you should be allowed to travel with your country's passport and the local ID that you receive here. There are states that allow you to get ID even if you don't have confirmation of lawful immigrant status, and there are states that do not allow that. So you choose where you want to live in the United States. Hi, Martin. My girlfriend came from Nicaragua with visa for 2 years. After the 2 years, can she renew it? What kind of visa is that? I would like to know what kind of visa is that, because guys, visa sticker that says it's valid for 2 years and your status, admission in the United States are two different things. Sometimes you're going to have B1, B2 visa, which is valid for 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, or 1 year. But you are allowed to stay in the United States for no more than 6 months. And if you are staying maximum amount of time using those visas, when you try to enter the United States again, CBP, in 90% of cases, is going to accuse you of working in the United States. All right? Because visitor's visa usually implies that you come for a short time. All right? Just remember that. So if it's 2 years, is it possible to extend visa? Yes. But visa sticker can be extended only overseas, not in the United States. In the United States, you can extend status that you are holding or would like to have. You can change status. If my asylum is granted, I have my unrestricted social security, my EAD expires in 4 months. Do I need the new EAD now? Do you need a new employment authorization card if you already received the grant for asylum? No, you do not. Unless you want to feel comfortable and have it here, but in your pocket. But no, you do not have to. Hi, Said. I'm here, Vegas, on K1 visa. My marriage is registered now. How much time they take to give me green card? Said, I have news for you. You have to apply for it. That's why I do not like K1s, guys. Because for K1 visa, first, your US citizen fiancé must file I-129F petition. Then it has to be approved. Then it has to be transferred to the National Visa Center and to your embassy. Then you go for this K1 visa. Then your fiancé in the United States has to submit affidavit of support for you. Then you come here. But the story is just starting. You don't have a status beyond 90 days. You would have to get married and file for adjustment of status within the 90-day period to use that I-129F petition that was approved before. If you're going to get married, but will not be able to file for adjustment of status or your green card within that 90 days, you will have to file I-130 form now on top of it and pay another fee. But wait, this is not the end. After this, you're going to receive only conditional green card. And in 2 years after you receive that conditional green card, you will have to file to remove the condition of the green card. So now tell me, what is the point of K1 visa? Your fiancé, sometimes, very often, could have traveled to your home country or a third country and file for, get married with you, and then you file for conditional resident visa for you instead. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Farik. Thank you, Jabbar. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Rodrigo. Hi, Rodrigo. I want to ask about the work permit. Please let me know what you would like to ask. How to apply work permit in the United States. So I need a company sponsor to apply. I quickly will answer that you do have to have a special status to get a work permit in the United States or status that is pending. I do have a video on my YouTube and Facebook which explains everything that you need to know about this. It literally says how to get a work permit in the United States. If you watch it, you will have a very good idea what you need to do to be able to get your work permit in the United States. Hi, Elmer. Hi, I'm from El Salvador and currently have TPS. I was able to travel back to my country with T512. I have a pending I-140, and if approved, I will be applying for I-45 adjustment of status. My question is, does USCIS use I-94 admitted date of the TPS date? Okay, so what happens is that USCIS is going to look at that document T512, travel document that issued to TPS holders to determine whether or not you're eligible to adjust, okay? That's how it works. Interestingly enough, advanced parole for TPS holders is not really an advanced parole. It's a travel document. It has its own very particular consequences when you use it for travel. Very, very interesting. It's very interesting how the United States immigration laws are working. They're not quite predictable, I would say. Hi, Van. Can I apply for citizenship after 2 years of experience in getting my green card in the United States? I'm not sure. Usually, to file for your citizenship, you have to hold your green card either for 3 years if you are married to a US citizen or you were a victim of abuse by US citizen. Or there is about 4 years time period when you received asylum, refugee status. Why? Because of the rolling back date that's printed on a green card when it's issued to you after you get asylum. The fastest way to receive citizenship in the United States after you get a green card would be through military service. Maybe. All right. So, hi. Glenview. During renewal 10-year unexpired green card, can I travel and re-enter before expired green card? So you filed to renew your green card using Form I-90, right? And now you would like to travel. Listen, to travel is very easy. You have to have proof of your status. What you're going to do, you can have an extension sticker on your green card that expired, right? You can have a stamp in your passport, all right? So I hope I answered your question. Unless something else is happening in your life I'm not aware of, you should be able to travel if you have pending a green card application to extend, renew, and so on. If you are removing condition from your green card, you should be able to do that as well. Or if you filed for your citizenship and your green card was automatically renewed. Thank you, Ingles. Thank you very much. Can a green card holder file for siblings? Fire. Can you imagine that it's not the case? As a green card holder, you cannot file for siblings, and it's so unfair. Green card holders cannot file for siblings. They also cannot file for their parents. So that's one of the benefits of citizenship, is ability to sponsor certain people, certain family members, that those who you cannot sponsor if you are just a green card holder. Hi, Jay, can I travel with refugee document in less than 1 year after asylum granted? Can I travel with refugee document in less than 1 year after asylum granted? Sure. If you are properly issued travel document for an asylee, can be used for travel and should be used for travel until you get US citizenship, guys. If you receive your asylum, you are technically considered to be a person without citizenship, stateless person, and you have to use your travel document that is going to be issued to you according to the Convention for Refugees, International Convention. So yes, you should be able to do that. All right. Let me see if we have more questions. We have tons of questions, and I'm going to answer, guys, one last question for tonight, okay? Hi, Nishi. How to expedite travel card if filing for concurrent filing I-130 and I-45 probably? How long it takes? I'm not aware of real way to expedite the advance parole document that I am aware, but it's not going to work. This is how you're going to do it. All right. So you submitted your application for adjustment of status, concurrent filing, and now you have to travel. You had an option to file for advance parole together with entire package, or you can do this. You can ask for an expedited advance parole, or we call it emergency advance parole. When you first call USCIS, book an appointment in a local field office and come to that appointment and explain your reason. Because you are filing for adjustment of status based on family petition, usually USCIS will approve your request for urgent travel, as long as it's urgent, okay? So don't say that you just want to go on vacation, then they're going to say it's your problem. Wait. But if it's if there is an urgency, God forbid, health situation, work situation, university situation, usually they will approve urgent requests. So that's how you truly expedite it. There is another way. If you have something pending, you can always contact USCIS and present to them. Have something pending in terms you already filed it on paper. You can always contact USCIS and ask them to make a decision, expedite the pending filing. But guess what? It's not working usually. So the first way that I described to you is going to work 99% of the time. Calling them, begging them to expedite something that you filed already, usually they don't care for some reason. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Chef G. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you very much for your hearts, for sharing, for sending your support. Now, if you still have questions, if I did not answer your question today, I apologize. We're going to meet this Friday at night, usually 7:30 if I'm running late, and I will make sure to help you out and answer your questions. Thank you very much, and I hope